Hello and welcome back to Lean on Success, where process improvement is self-improvement. My name is Ben. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and I have another guest with us today. We've been talking a lot about the recession and financial markets, and I'm not an expert in these things. So I said, I need an expert to come onto the show and really give more insight on the recession and what we can do about it. So, Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Ben, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Sarah, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and why I asked you to come on the show? Because I consider you like you're one of the financial experts that I kind of lean on to give me insight about the markets.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Sarah Kaplan. I am a certified financial planner. I own an independent financial planning, investment advisory, and insurance brokerage and consulting firm. We've been in business for 43 years. Not all of that was me. It's not just good skincare. One of my business partners, who also happens to be my mother, Candy Kaplan, founded the firm back in the late 70s. And we work with individuals and families as well as businesses in the DC metro area, as well as across the country. Just as far as background is concerned, I've been in the business for 20 years. Like I said, I'm a certified financial planner. It's a special certification that anyone who's looking for financial planning advice should look for when they're working with a financial advisor. I also have my certificate in retirement planning from the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania, and I am an accredited investment fiduciary, meaning that I have a legal responsibility to give prudent and appropriate advice to all of my clients.
So just to be clear, you didn't get your financial expertise from YouTube University. Like you actually are the real deal.
Well, thank you. No, I appreciate that. And look, there are a myriad of financial certifications right out there. Mm-hmm. I am not a chartered financial analyst, a CFA, which, those are individuals that really can like dig into like stocks and individual investments and really understand their fundamentals. But I would consider myself to be an expert in personal financial planning. That is where I have my education and my credentialing, and I work with clients every day.
Awesome. And I think that makes you particularly qualified to talk about the topic that we're going to discuss today. I asked you to come on because, again, I've been talking a lot about the 2023 recession. A few videos ago, I actually made an analogy about a tornado, and that the yellow sky is a leading indicator that a tornado is nearby, right? And I've been getting questions and also been hearing kind of reactions from different people and other fellow content creators about, hey, I see the yellow sky, recession's coming, the sky's falling. What do I need to do to kind of protect myself? How should I do that? And so, when we had this discussion, that question really triggers you. So I kind of want you to explain why you're triggered by that question.
I am triggered, Ben. I'm so triggered because the answer, my friend, is do nothing. And that's the thing that feels really counterintuitive to people. The basic principles of financial planning are that you should have certain building blocks in place so that when things go sideways, when the sky turns yellow, you don't feel the instinct to do something. Usually when people react in an emergency, when it comes to their financial life, unfortunately, they almost always make bad decisions. And so you tend to act emotionally, and you feel like when something bad's going on, like a tornado's coming, you gotta do something. You gotta run. You gotta find shelter. You gotta protect yourself. You gotta get protect your family. And the reality is that if you've put all the right things in place, and we'll talk about some of those things, mm-hmm. You really want to do nothing, because anything you do could actually take you further away from your financial goals. And I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Most families have at least one member of their family who has a 401k account, right? Mm-hmm. Most people who are W-2 employees somewhere have a 401k account. Generally, you figure out your risk tolerance, you select your investments in your 401k. Usually it's a combination of your risk tolerance and how long you're going to have to invest, and you set your investment mix and you walk away, because you know in your mind that this is money you're not going to need for a very long period of time, and you're taking a strategic approach and you're just going to keep putting your money away and not touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sky turns yellow and everybody's running around saying, sell, 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 get out of your, get out of your investments in your 401k. Absolutely not. You have a strategy. You had a plan. And then you just went and threw it out the window because you had an emotional reaction to the fact that a storm was coming when you already did the things that you were supposed to do in protecting yourself for the long term. The idea is to ride the highs and lows in an account where you've got plenty of time to ride through market cycles. You don't want to have a reaction. And the reason is that we tend not to react the way the way that we would want to. The basic tenet of investment is you buy low and sell high. And when people freak out and when they get scared, what do? They buy high and sell low. Every single time. Blows my mind. Really intelligent, smart people run around crazy doing stuff they know they're not supposed to. And then they come to me with their tail between their legs and going, I know I wasn't supposed to do that, but I did it anyway.
Sarah, I liquidated my 401k and bought gold. Because the stock market's so volatile. I need something physical that I can touch.
Right. And I could show you how volatile gold is too. Gold is one of the most volatile investments. It's wild to me how it's just like people when they're making decisions day to day you can justify and rationalize anything. I have heard stories about why people do stupid things with their investments, things they know they shouldn't be doing. We had a plan. We sat down and figured out, how tolerant you are with risk and how you don't need this money for 20 or 30 years. And you're putting money in every pay period. Mm-hmm. Market went down. Great. You're buying stuff on sale. Go at it. Put more money into the market when the market's down.
Right.
And people feel like they have to, shut it all down. Just, the sky turns yellow, shut it all down. Close the store, go to cash and wait. And the trouble is that when people try to time the market, if they generally time it wrong. Even if you think you got it right getting out, they never know when to get back in. And if you miss that first bump of the market going up, your long-term performance is always going to suffer. And so it's the challenge isn't always when to get out, it's when to get back in. And if you never leave and you just keep putting money into the market, you're always going to win.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think what you're saying reminds me of a saying that I heard once is, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, right? Like if you want the benefit of the shade of the tree, you should have planted it, put it in the ground 20 years ago, right? But, something happens, you can't just cut it down because you need firewood now. Well, okay, fine, but you're not going to get the tree. Like you gave up the big oak tree because you needed firewood, right?
Oh, 100%. And that's not to say that if you haven't started saving, it's too late. It's never too late. But you're absolutely right. And I think we were talking earlier. I got to tell you, I've been doing this a long time. I have never heard people talk about Treasury bonds being so sexy.
That's the new foreplay now. Just start talking about Treasury bonds and start intimacy.
I got to tell you. I see people sitting around having a drink talking about their Treasury bonds because we're getting interest on Treasury bonds. And you would think that it's the hottest thing since sliced bread. Yeah. What? For the first time in a long time, people are making money on their Treasury bonds. But just like other market cycles, that too shall pass. Right? Yeah. Having an asset allocation that's diversified, including those sexy Treasury bonds, means that you're going to take advantage of some great return on your investment when Treasury bonds are doing well, but also be diversified enough so that when it's time for other market cycles to shine, you've already got some money allocated to that as well. So many people are pulling money out of their long-term investments to put in money market accounts in cash because you're currently getting 4.5%.
Right.
How much interest have you been getting on your money market account for the last 12 years?
Right. Exactly.
Nothing. Yeah. Right.
One of the things that I noticed about that, because I have my emergency fund is in a high yield savings account.
Okay.
And what I noticed, of course, the savings rates have been going up since because the bond rates have been going up.
It's
And
so
so
hot.
what I noticed, well, I mean, yeah, I'm having a hard time keeping my shirt on now talking about these high yield savings interest rates. What I noticed is that whenever the rates would go up, I will always get like an email. Hey,
Yeah.
rates are going up. You want to put some more money in? But then I started noticing my emails. The last email I got, the number was lower than the last one I got. I'm like, well, how is it going up? But it was lower. And then what I realized is that when the rates go down, they don't send me an email. There's no notification when the rate go down. When the rates go down, it's only when the rate goes up that I get an email. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I see how this game is played.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this back in like 2005, 2006, back in the before times, in the olden days, you used to see commercials on TV for high yield savings and money market accounts because you could get so much return on your money in a money market account because they were so sexy. That hasn't happened
right
for 12, 13 years. And here we are again. And all of a sudden, all anybody can talk about is their money market account and their high yield savings. And a high yield savings account is where your emergency fund should be. That is 100% where your emergency fund should be. It should be in a secure place that's highly liquid that you can get to if you need it.
Right.
And we're all getting the advantage of getting money on our cash, but that doesn't mean that you should pull your long-term money out of long-term investments.
Right.
Because this is a short-term situation with interest rates. The whole point of raising interest rates, the whole point of all of this is to cool down our economy and cool down inflation, so that they were hoping maybe we wouldn't go into a recession. You and I both feel like either we've already been in one or we're already in one or we'll be in one soon. But what happens when we go into a recession? They put the brakes on interest rates and those go down. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting 4% on your money market. And nobody wants to talk about Treasury bonds anymore.
Right. I won't get any more emails from American Express.
You're not going to get any more
because those brakes will not go back up. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand is the cyclical nature.
Yes.
Of these markets, and I think that there's too much conspiracy right now about the government is just out to get everybody and everybody's just lying to us. And I read an article recently that the price of Bitcoin has soared because now people are scared of the banks because we had a couple of bank failures. And I'm going to have Scott Barber, and our accountant friend of ours, he's going to make a video with me to kind of explain kind of how the bank failure happened. But Bitcoin is like soared through the roof because it's like, oh, we can't trust these banks. We need to put everything into Bitcoin. And I'm like, but haven't y'all just seen like all of the criminal charges that have come across for all these exchanges and crooks that have stolen people's crypto? Like, make it make sense. I don't understand. So should I just dump all my money into crypto right now, Sarah?
Okay, so first of all, because crypto is not a registered financial product, we don't talk about crypto.
Number one, crypto's the new Bruno. We don't talk about crypto.
We don't talk about crypto. Number one. The only thing I'll say about crypto is that it is not a regulated security. So buyer beware. Number two, it is a highly speculative investment. So it is by no means safe.
Yeah, I think that's important to point out because the one consequence or the risk that I think I'm taking by talking about the recession so much is it may invoke fear or panic in the people. And that's also why I wanted you to come on, is to provide that level of clarity that says, look, this is not the time for you to be doing anything drastic to feel like you got to protect yourself. This is not the time to pull all your money out of the bank. This is not time to liquefy your 401k and buy gold and guns, right? Like that's not the approach, right?
No, and just like we said at the beginning, there is nothing more counterintuitive to human nature than doing nothing in a crisis.
Yeah.
But you are a Six Sigma black belt. You are all about discipline and results. And if your listeners, are listening to you, it's because they appreciate and respect discipline and results. And the best way to have results through discipline is to have, and I know we're getting back to sexy here, and
Go ahead.
this doesn't sound particular. I talk to people about this and they go, what's your what's the sexy financial tip you have? And I'll say, the best way to have a sound financial plan is to have a strategic asset allocation, to track and monitor your expenses, to know what you earn and know what you spend, to have a long-term plan, and to set it and forget it.
Yeah, it's so you talked about Six Sigma. One of the examples when I'm talking about when I'm teaching Six Sigma concepts, we talk about something called process controls, and these are basically there are two types of process controls. There's corrective and preventive. And obviously preventive is always better, because if you can prevent a problem from happening or prevent something bad from happening to your customer, it's better than trying to correct it after the fact. And one of the analogies that I give is the movie Magic Mike, which I watched by accident one time.
I don't know that I believe you, Ben.
It was an accident. I walked into the room. It was on. I heard the buzz about it. I don't know. Like,
and what did you learn?
Let me preface this by saying that I am a fan of pro wrestling. So I am very accustomed to watching, well-physiqued men perform athletically. I get no personal arousal out of it, but I can truly appreciate the artistry. I mean that in all seriousness.
I mean, look, let me say, Channing Tatum is a piece of art, and
yes, he is.
And as a dancer, oh my.
So I'm just gonna say pause. Anyway, yes, Channing Tatum is a piece of art. Pause. Now, what I was explaining from the movie is, he was dressed up as a firefighter, and that's kind of one of the tropes in male dancers, right? Or like bachelor parties are dressed up in they're firefighters because that's sexy. But when was the last time that you saw an exotic dancer dressed up as a fire marshal? Right? Fire marshals, like, Fire Marshal Bill isn't cut sliding on a pole. Let me tell you something. Like, it's not, you're not going to see that, right? Fire marshals are always posed as unattractive people. And that's because the concept of preventing fires before they start is not sexy, right? Yes. They want the man with the axe chopping your door down and rescuing the family. But what about the man or the woman that, made sure that your house was built to code so that it would never catch on fire?
Oh my God, Ben. We need to start hashtag make fire marshal sexy. No, I'm here for it. I am here for it. You know why? Because you're absolutely right. Everybody wants the hero, right? Everybody wants to, and like I said, everybody wants to do something. And it feels so wrong to watch things get scary.
Right.
And to see the clouds coalescing. And to feel like you're doing nothing.
Right.
And the reality is that you've already done all the things you were supposed to do, like that fire marshal, right? You've already made sure you have smoke detectors. You've already made sure that you've got fire escape plan with your family. You've already taken all of those steps so that when the siren goes off, you're not panicking, right? You've got, if you've got a proper financial plan, you've got your emergency fund. You know how much you need to live. You've got your long-term investment plan. You've got all of your goals and your concerns, measured and accounted for, and you can just take a deep breath and not react. And I think that's the hardest thing for people to do at a time like this is to do nothing and stick with the plan.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say, I'm gonna do a quick recap on that, and then I want to ask you one final thing before we end here. What I'm hearing you say is, look, just stick to the plan that you've had. You don't need to make any major adjustments. I think what I'm also hearing you say is, if you don't have a plan or don't have a solid plan, it's not too late for you to get on that path now. As a way of these are things that you probably should have always done, but now is a good time for you to start if you don't already have a long-term plan in place. So what advice would you give to people that say, I don't feel as secure or comfortable about kind of my long-term financial plan, what should they do to kind of get started?
Oh, I feel heard. Um, so here are the best things to do. And once again, it's like we're back on treasury bonds, not sexy, but this will get the job done, and it will help you sleep at night. Know how much it costs. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who don't know how much money they spend. And this isn't about a budget. This isn't punitive, right? We're not talking about, I tell all of my clients, it is not my job to make a value judgment about how you spend money. I don't care how you spend money. We just need to know. Because once we know, we can plan. And I can tell you whether or not how you spend money, what you need to live on based on your standard of living, if you're going to be able to reach your goals based on what you're doing. Once you know what you spend, you can know how much you need to have in emergency reserves. You can plan for how much you're going to need to save for retirement, for your kids' education, for other accumulation goals you may have, things you want to buy or spend later down the line. Have a long-term investment plan. Know how much money you need to save for retirement. If you don't have a plan, you should be targeting somewhere between 10 and 15% of your income to save towards retirement. And every little bit counts. Even if you can't get to 10%, start with 1, start with 2, and inch it up. When you feel like you need to react in a time of financial stress, take the little steps every day. Look at your 401k contribution. Think about paying off that high interest credit card a little bit faster. Taking those baby steps should give you the relief that you need to feel that you're doing the right things and taking the right step toward financial independence.
That's awesome. I think our listeners are going to benefit greatly from that advice, because there are a lot of people out there, and you know better than I do because you have them as your clients. There are so many people out there that just aren't paying close enough attention to their personal finances, and they really are in need of guidance to make sure that they've got a plan in place. And talking to a professional that knows what the hell they're talking about, and not getting all their advice from YouTubers and TikTok experts. Right. And I'm a YouTuber, so that includes me, but
and look, and I'm a podcaster. I've my show, How to Retire with Sarah Kaplan, we're getting it started, getting it launched soon. But if anybody has any questions, they can reach me at kaplanfinancialgroup.com. And it's a pleasure. There should be no shame in this. None of this are things we're taught in school. Right. We're not taught financial management in school. If you're really lucky, maybe you got a short course in financial management or financial planning, either in high school or in college. But these are things that everybody needs to know, and we're not really taught how to do throughout our education. So there shouldn't be any shame if you feel like you don't know what you're doing. You should never feel so ashamed about your financial situation that it's not worth taking the steps to put yourself in a better position and to help yourself and your family. Anything is achievable. It's little bit day by day, one step at a time, one decision at a time. And you should feel proud of yourself for every step that you make toward financial literacy and financial independence.
That is very well said. I will be putting Sarah's information on her website and her business down in the link in the description, so all of you can go and check her out. If you have more questions like this, that's where you can find her. Again, Sarah, I can't thank you enough for coming on and providing this guidance and kind of this light in the darkness for all of our listeners. So thank you so much for joining me today and providing this very valuable information to all our listeners and all our watchers.
Oh, Ben, absolutely my pleasure. And if anybody has any questions and wants to reach out to Ben, I'd certainly be happy to follow up with answers to questions that you may have. And it's really my pleasure. Financial education is one of my passions, so I'm thrilled to do it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I think now once we end here, I'm going to pull out some of my Treasury bonds and kind of roll around in them a little bit. Feel a little frisky.
Woo! Gotta love those Treasury bonds.
Thanks so much, Sarah. I'll talk to you guys later.